Hello everyone, this is Critic giving you Game 2 in a series between MonDragon and Mouse Mana here on Shakura's Plateau. Game 1 going to Mana, so we'll see if MonDragon will be able to force a Game 3 or if Mana will be able to put the final nail in the coffin with a win here on Shakura's Plateau. Mana spawning as the green Protoss player on the top right hand side of the map. Meanwhile, we have MonDragon spawning on the bottom left hand side of the map as the red Zerg. Zerg versus Protoss, definitely not going to change anything here as this game now gets underway. And for some reason I cannot use the Control N to get the cool title names up here, so a little bit of a strange thing there. I wanted to show you that, wanted to use the cool overlays, but they do not seem to be available, or they are not available here, as it also shows a Computer 5 as another Terran player. That is going to be a little bit of annoying. A yellow Terran player who's not really there at all. And now a drone just wandering around, making sure that there is not perhaps a proxy pylon. And a drone just waiting for the probe here and now getting some damage. No, as the probe now simply passes by. So MonDragon may be trying to set up an expansion there. No, he is not, as both players just doing the pretty standard build already. You can see the spawning pool is down over here. Extractor now coming into play, and that extractor was simply going to use into 11/10. So this was a very early spawning pool. Sorry that I missed this. This was actually, I believe, a 9 pool. And that very early 9 pool is perhaps going to be able to get a lot of Zerglings out and across the map before a cannon is up. You can see that the forge is currently 45 or 15 seconds away. So as soon as that cannon is up, or that forge is up, we should be getting some photon cannons, but only one photon cannon can be placed down in time. Zerglings are already being queued up, 4 Zerglings, and if those 4 Zerglings are able to make it inside the base, a lot of damage could be dealt. The photon cannons do take 30 seconds to build, and those Zerglings are now simply trying to run across the field in time in order to get past and slip by this one photon cannon being built. But a gateway most likely will be warped in right here, making it very difficult for the Zerglings to run by. You can see another pylon may be warped in here in just a moment, and I believe that this very aggressive spawning pool by MonDragon will just be pretty much totally fruitless, as not enough damage is going to be dealt. You can see that there are backdoor rocks here. This is the TSL version of the map. Zerglings is now going to try to run up, but simply just get turned away right there. 2 shots, down goes a Zergling. And now Mana knows that he doesn't have to really worry about much. There is now a queen now out trying to get some damage onto this drone, or onto this probe. The drone finally getting the hero kill there with a pylon being warped in at the natural expansion. This pylon will get destroyed, but it will delay a significant amount of MonDragon's building time on that additional hatchery, as those Zerglings now finally make their way over, starting to peck away at the pylon here. You can see an Overlord does see that there is a Nexus already up. A forge is down in addition to a gateway. Cybernetics core should be coming in just a moment as well. There it is. There's that Cybernetics core as the probe finally makes the trek out in order to do some scouting or perhaps activate some of these Naga watchtowers. Now, this is a forced cross spawn, so it was very interesting that Mouse Mana didn't try to do any sort of proxy play. I know that proxy play is pretty standard, or a pretty interesting opening tactic, as a probe now simply trying to hide away from this one Overlord. MonDragon, being the professional player that he is, most likely did see this one probe now wandering around. He's going to send some Zerglings after it. That probe doesn't really stand a chance there. Already down, taking 2 points of damage there, taking even more, as a queen now wants to make its way down and perhaps get some additional slashes onto that probe. That probe, however, gonna take some damage. 1, 2, 3 shots, down it goes again. And now you can see that the amount of resources lost, 350 versus 75. But you also have to remember that the total harvester count, the total harvester count still now in favor of MonDragon, as he was able to get a lot of spawn larvae off because of the early spawning pool and the early queen. Production-wise, we are seeing a hatchery about to be completed. We are getting some more photon cannons as both players now buckle down into the mid-game portion. Now, there are still a number of options that we can be seeing from both of these players. Mana has yet to go or reveal any true tech at this point. He has the gateway, he has the Cybernetics core, upgrading to warp gates, but he hasn't really revealed his hand yet. So it'll be quite some time before we know what Mana really ultimate his goal will be. Meanwhile, back here, MonDragon is not teching the tier 2. We do see an evolution chamber down. So this allows MonDragon to be able to easily train up those spore colonies just in case his opponent tries to go for air, as we are now seeing a tech to lair as well. We do have what Overlords currently in position in very, very critical locations with a lot of Zerglings down. So MonDragon doing a great job. He has a lot of just map insight and a lot of map presence. He could easily now try to expand into this location here or even into this expansion here. Now, one thing to note, there's only 7 mineral patches at the natural expansion, so it's not the full 8. It is not a real full base. So that may be one of the reasons why you want to try to take one of these expansions. Oh, actually, there's only 7 mineral patches here as well. All right, so there's only 7 mineral patches here. So I guess this expansion and these expansions, the other starting locations, are the only other expansions that have full sets of 8 mineral patches, and you have to account for that in the long term of the game if you're trying to out macro your opponent. We are getting some additional gateways now. So 3 additional gateways coming in. Sentries quickly coming over. Going to shoot down MonDragon's Overlord before the Overlord sees anything at all. He does see an additional gateway warping in, but that doesn't really tell him much in the terms of the long game right now. But we are going to be going into a 5 gateway play, perhaps even 6 gate. 6 gate off of 2 bases, very common. And now level 2 weapons upgrade coming in. We need to see another expansion coming in by MonDragon. MonDragon needs to use his vast insight and knowledge in the game right now to perhaps take a stronger economic lead. You can see he's sitting on 49 harvesters compared to 40, and only mass sentries coming in from Mana so far. Zerglings now just wandering around the map hoping to get a little bit more information, as well as the Zerglings move so fast, essentially being able to run and deliver messages anywhere they want to be in a heartbeat. Zerglings now taking down these rocks. This expansion is a very viable, very easy expansion to take control of, as an Overseer now just warping into this location here. It looks like the sentries are now going to be trying to come in. The sentries are going to be able to get a decent amount of damage as the sentries now moving and attacking, and oh, down it goes. There is one changeling, but that changeling also destroyed as well. The Zergling is still trying to take down these rocks. Production-wise, 57, or unit-wise, 57 drones versus 46 infestors now being added. And the infestors do not have, I do not believe they have the pathogen glands research, so they will not have enough energy for a fungal growth the moment that they come out. Drones now being transferred once again back to the base over here. Not quite sure what they're being transferred for. Perhaps trying to resaturate this gold or this mineral patch here. Trying to get at least 16 drones per mineral patch, and now sentries and stalkers making their way out. We can see a lot of creep tumors have been placed down across the field. That will slow down his opponent, and it will also allow you or allow MonDragon to know when Mana will be pushing into the main base, as the sentries, stalkers just slowly macro up as the level 2 weapons upgrade about to be completed. A hatchery now setting up down over here, and as soon as this hatchery is down, the one probe over here will be able to see the creep, and that will reveal a 3rd base already. Zergling running back and forth between these 2 locations on patrol, making sure that there isn't expansion, is not an expansion at one of those 2 locations, as the Zerglings quickly trying to run over. Stalkers quickly shoot it down, and now he knows where the majority of the armies are. Still more infestors still being added to this army, and I've always wanted to check the infestor movement speed. Yeah, infestor movement speed, I believe slightly slower now, or even slower now than before, as the movement speed upgrade, I don't remember if it was 0.67. I always thought that the infestors actually moved very, very fast on creep, closer to a 3.25, the movement of a stimmed marine, as the infestors now making their way out into the field. You can see the stalkers now just in the middle of the field, and now the banelings are trying to move out, and the infestors now going to perhaps cast some fungal growth, and then at least try to deal some damage towards those units. Chain fungal growths work out very, very well, as the infestors now running up over here. You can see overlords are there. Stalkers are now coming in, and perhaps we will see a flank. No, the stalkers now coming over here. We see a hatchery quickly getting canceled there, as the rest of this army of Mana is just pushing forward so easily, and destroying all of this creep tumors that MonDragon worked so hard to try to establish. Zerglings and Banelings now coming in from behind. Force Fields coming in from behind as well. Banelings coming in from behind. And now Infestors are going to be able to get some chain fungal growths here. And that's going to be a problem. Chain fungal growths getting a lot of damage. And this entire army was simply destroyed. And now Mana just simply losing the majority of his attack force as the Zerglings now try to make their way out. Excuse me. Yeah, the Infestors are now making their way out. The Stalkers were able to blink away there. This one pylon will get destroyed here. Hopefully the Banelings don't do anything stupid by trying to destroy destructible rocks. As the Infestors are now in position, the Infestors could easily burrow. Infestors naturally have a burrow move ability. As we are now teching into Tier 3, and getting into a spire as well. There is this one hatchery down over here. A queen is currently being queued up as well. The observer is nearby, does see that there is an army of Zerglings and Infestors here. A fungal growth would reveal all of that one observer there, but it's very difficult to spot an observer unless you know what exactly you're looking for. You can kind of see it on my screen, but yeah, not really at all. The Zerglings now coming over. The Stalkers now coming over as well. But the Zerglings now doing a little bit of a round-robin rotation. And now Zerglings, blinking straight up to the high ground. And now utilizing that there. Mana is going to be in a bit of trouble as he is now confined into 2-base play. As his opponent now has 3-base play. And there is one Overseer in the air. But with no real way to shoot down any of those observers. Those observers have not much to worry about. We are getting some Psystorm and some High Templars. We are getting the Adrenal Gland upgrade, so those Zerglings will become Cracklings in just a moment, attacking even more quickly and dealing even more damage. Down goes an Overseer, and down goes a Changeling there. So army-wise, 3,200 versus 2,600 in terms of total resources. 91 drones versus 52 probes. That is a huge number of probes at this stage, or drones at this stage. As this game now gets underway, production-wise, the Greater Spire now being morphed into play as well. Do we see any Corruptors? Yeah, no Corruptors at this time, as we are now getting some additional pylons. There is one Force Field quickly blocking the Zerglings from being able to run down there, as the observer still able to keep track of the majority of this Infestor army. Banelings being forced to pull back once again, as the Infestors should get back into this location. Drones now being transferred to the 9 o'clock location here, the 7 mineral patch location, as MonDragon now taking a significant economic lead. You can see the amount of harvesters that he has, harvesting at about, 1,000 more minerals a minute and 200 gas a minute. Probes and High Templars now making the walk over here, as there is a lot of cannons. And in comes an Infestor. The Infestor has to be very, very careful, as these cannons are going to be able to spot him in just a moment. He needs to run away and as quickly as possible, and he's actually going to make it through. So that was a purely lucky move by MonDragon, as MonDragon was able to burrow an Infestor straight past a lot of photon cannons there. The Zerglings not even offering much of a fight back, and that is going to be an issue, but that's going to be very, very interesting, as the Infestor will be able to unburrow very easily and then perhaps get some damage onto probes with 1 to 2 chain fungal growths. That's going to be an interesting battle there, as there is an observer here. Thank you for pinging the mini-map, whoever you were. And now in comes, I'm so interested to see if this Infestor is actually going to get some damage onto any of the probes over here, and perhaps start swinging the battle a little bit more. Production-wise, Broodlords are coming. We are getting the Zerg level 3 attack upgrades. The Crackling upgrades does not apply to Broodlings, unfortunately. So those Broodlings will only be dealing, I believe, 7 damage per attack. Still, one Infestor sitting in this group right here, and Mana not knowing about it. And we'll see if this Infestor comes into play at all, as the main Banelings may be trying to come in, and getting quickly force field there, unable to break down that front door. And now units coming over here from the back. Stalkers quickly blinking down, and now there is a large army of Broodlords and Zerglings here. So a large army of Zerglings and Broodlords with some Corruptors. And are those units are they gonna start to charge up is the key question. As the units now make their way back over here, a lot of Infestors. Stalkers able to quickly clear that expansion out, but there was already another expansion here by MonDragon, so MonDragon still mining off of 3 bases, as the Broodlings are just getting dropped in and now dealing some damage onto those units here. I'm still waiting for this. I want this Infestor to deal some damage. Perhaps casting fungal growth here and then 2 chain fungal growths, getting a lot of probe kills would be very, very nice as the Stalkers continuing to move around once more, going after some of those units, and quick fungal growths onto those Stalkers. The Stalkers unable to blink away, and those Broodlords just raining that damage down now. So the Broodlings now quickly coming back in. Broodlords now trying to just drop in more and more Broodlings. Once more, there are Infestors on the low ground here. Psystorm may be cast, yeah, and a lot of damage being dealt there. Focusing onto those Broodlords, but the Broodlords with that thicker armor able to absorb some of that damage and now run away. But Zerglings now once again swarming into the main portion of the base here. Zerglings now trying to push their way, but a lot of units are currently being warped in across multiple locations. And Mana just doing a good job just with a really, really strong base defense, stopping many of these Zerglings. But it's looking like MonDragon's not going to be able to stop that swarm, especially as the Broodlords are now making their way into this portion of the base, starting to drop Broodlings onto the backside. If the Stalkers try to blink or get within combat range, the Infestors will quickly take care of them. As the Stalkers, or the Zerglings, have finished off the natural expansion here at the 3 o'clock position. Broodlords now coming in once more and looking to just peck away more and more at these photon cannons here. Broodlings slowly making their way in, and slowly starting to make the crawl. Is there an Infestor? Yeah, that Infestor is still there. Not much is happening with that. As the Broodlings and Zerglings are now able to swarm in from behind. Though there's a lot of Psystorm being cast, but that Psystorm being cast against the rest of those units, not very helpful at all. Fungal growth, perhaps some infested Terrans would be very, very useful now in order to get some damage there. And now more fungal growth coming in. Another fungal growth should be cast again. No feedback onto those Infestors, as I say that. More feedback being cast there, but MonDragon doing a great job sticking into this game so far, as the infested Terrans will be hatching in just a moment, getting a lot of damage across multiple Zealots as well. Those another Infestor is right here. There's another fungal growth and more infested Terrans being hatched out. That Infestor finally showing itself and now finally pulling away, but it doesn't look like it will be able to outrun. Oh, able to outrun those infested Terrans just by a little bit, but that Void Ray almost gets shot down, and there's the GG by MonDragon. Oh, sorry, by Mono. So MonDragon able to force a Game 3 in this best of 3 series. Right now, click on the screen. I will try to remember to keep an annotation up for you guys to know that there is actually a Game 3 and that, excuse me, Mana didn't win the first 2. My way of creating anti-spoilers, as I have a lot of games to cast. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed Game 2 in this best of 3 series. Stay tuned for Game 3.